नारे तकबीर, अल्लाहु अकबर, नारे तकबीर, अल्लाहु अकबर, नारे रिसालत, या रसूलल्लाह, नारे रिसालत, या रसूलल्लाह, सब मिलके नारे हैदरी, हुसैनियत जिंदाबाद, हुसैनियत जिंदाबाद, यजीदियत मुर्दाबाद, यजीदियत मुर्दाबाद, रहमतुल्लाह मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद बाबा बुलंद सलावत, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين المنتخبين المظلومين الغر الميامين سيما بقية الله في الأراضين وحجته إلى الخلائق أجمعين سيدنا وإمام زماننا وصاحب نعمتنا وولي أمرنا مهدي هذه الأمة وطروس أهل الجنة الحجة ابن الحسن العسكري فداه أرواح العالمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, the topic given to me today to discuss is the Ahlul Bayt's view on Ramadan. What they've said about the month, what they've said for us to do during the month, and inshallah how we can attain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within this month. For this month is one of the months, or the main month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself said it's a month that is his month. It's a month that he loves. It's a month where the devil is locked away, where the doors of hell are closed, and where the doors of paradise are open. And Allah has given excuses and ways to forgive us during this month. For example, Imam Sadiq says that during this month, if somebody was to read one verse of the glorious Quran, it is as if he has read the entire Quran. There are other narrations from the Imams where they are saying this is a month where whilst you are fasting, even if you sleep, it counts as worship. Every breath that you take whilst being in the state of a fast, it counts as worship. So inshallah today, let's start off by looking where in the Quran has this been mentioned, fasting. What are the rules pertaining fasting? Let's look at what the Ahlul Bayt or Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi himself has said regarding fasting. Then let's look at some jurisprudential laws. So let's see, why do we fast? Why are we exempt from fast if we are? What can we do during fast? What can't we do? What should we avoid and what should we try to do to gain more rewards within the realm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And also we need to look at what breaks your fast and what is the penalty for breaking that fast. What is the ruling on traveling? When you're traveling, can you still fast? What is the rules? What is the distance that you travel? Should you be back home at a certain time? Should you leave at a certain time? So inshallah, this is what we are going to do. So I've written down a few verses of the Quran and I've got a few narrations of the Prophet. And inshallah today let's delve into this. So we start off by looking in the glorious Quran in chapter 2, which is known as Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 182. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in there, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, that you may learn piety and righteousness. And the same verse goes on to say, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, that you may attain taqwa, or that you may attain nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from this verse we've established that fasting is not a Muslim thing. Fasting is not something that began with the Holy Prophet. It's not something that you can say that the Muslims invented. In fact, during the time of Jesus, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, the Christians used to fast. During the time of Moses alayhi salam, the Jews used to fast. During the times of previous prophets, they too used to fast, and their nations used to fast as well. The ruling on the fasting was a bit different. The ruling on the fasting was a bit, let's just say the laws pertaining to the fast was different. For example, when Rasulullah came and he preached his religion within the city of Medina, and he ordered the Muslims to begin fasting when these verses were revealed, we note that now today we can eat from iftar till suhoor. We can eat. But before, for the nation of Moses or for the nation of Jesus, they never used to have this facility. The ruling was, as soon as the sun sets and the Maghrib time appears, you open your fast. That opening of your fast is the closing of your fast. And straight away the next fast begins. So you don't have that period in the night where we have today, where we can eat from now until the sun rises or until imsak. This was going on in the early years of Rasulullah's life as well, until one day, a narration, a story, where somebody found this a bit difficult, which then led Rasulullah to show his mercy, for he was Rahmatul lil Alameen, and he showed his mercy and he extended the time that we could eat during the holy month of Ramadan. How? So there was a person who used to work in a well or digging, or used to do cultivation, agricultural cultivation in the land, manual labor nonetheless. The narrations differ as to what his job was. Anyway, he came home one day and it was time for him to open his fast. So he sat down and he leant against the wall and he pressed his head back just to rest his eyes for a moment, and he fell asleep. Now, when he fell asleep, the time for opening of the fast came, but he didn't eat. And the time for closing of the fast also came, and he didn't eat. And when he woke up, he realized that the time had passed, and now his next fast had automatically begun. So he said to his wife, "Why did you not wake me for me to open my fast? And why did you not wake me for me to close my fast as well?" She said, "You were tired, you were sitting down, you were relaxing, you fell asleep. I could see that you were tired, you were sweating, your manual labor job is not easy, the weather is hot. So I figured I'd let you relax and I'd let you sleep." So in that situation, now this person had to start his fast the next day automatically without eating anything. The wife then came to Rasulullah and she said, "Ya Rasulullah, I know that Islam is a religion where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders you to say what you say. And He is a merciful Lord and you are Rahmatul lil Alameen, no doubt. But this is the situation, this is what's happened to my husband." So the Prophet said, "Okay, in this situation," so the Prophet then asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show some more leniency towards fasting. You can imagine today, if our iftari was our sahri, imagine how difficult that would be. We find it difficult, even though we've got a few hours between the two. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then said to the Prophet through Angel Jibreel that allow them to extend the period of their eating from the moment the sun sets till the sun rises. And they can eat and they can drink within this period, and then it closes again at the time of imsak or when the Fajr prayer time arises. Just like the fast, the same thing with the prayers. Before our Prophet and during the beginning time of our Prophet's life, we read 5 prayers today. They used to read 50. Imagine you had to read 50 today. We have people who have trouble keeping up with the 5. Yet imagine that there were those there who had to read 50 prayers. The narration is the Prophet went on Mi'raj and he seen Nabi Musa. Nabi Musa then interceded for our Prophet. And his intercession was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reduce the amount of prayers. For the Prophet said, "Ya Allah, for my nation this is very difficult. It's very difficult for my nation to be able to keep up with 50 prayers a day. Ya Allah, please reduce this," with the intercession of the Nabi. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then through the angel Jibreel said to the Prophet, "You can reduce it down from 50 to 5. So from here we see that fasting has been mentioned in the Quran. The nations before Islam, or the religions before, we believe it's all Muslims, but the previous prophets and their nations also used to fast. The laws were different, but they also used to fast. Mentioned within the hadith, we have that Rasulullah said when the month of Ramadan starts, the gates of the heavens are open, and the gates of hell are closed, and the devils are chained during this month. We also have that Rasulullah said that whoever fasts during Ramadan out of sincere faith and hoping to attain Allah's reward, all his past sins will be forgiven. So if you fast in this month, hoping to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah says He will remove all your sins. Let's talk about the procedure of the fast. When does fasting begin? When you see the moon. Who sees the moon? When does it actually begin? Why do we have different days? Why do some Muslims start fasting on the Monday, for example, and some start it on the Tuesday? Why is it that when it comes to Eid and the next month after Ramadan starts, you have some who do it on the Saturday, some who do it on the Sunday, and some who go ahead and do it on the Monday? What is the reason for this? Let's discuss this. Taqleed is something that's wajib. Only within the jurisprudential laws of the Furu'id-Din, not within Usul-Din and not within anything else. The Maraja themselves say that when it comes to the beginning of a month, it's something that wherever you're living, the land that you're living in, you look for the moon in that land. If you see the moon, the month begins. If you don't see the moon, it begins the next day. 28 days or 30 days of the month. It's not fixed that we have within the calendars we have here. Either going to be 29 if you see the moon. If you don't, then the next day it's going to be the next month beginning. So what are the rulings? Is obviously nowadays on Facebook and we get everybody asking, oh, when's Ayatollah Sistani's first of Ramadan? When's Ayatollah Bashir's first of Ramadan? When are Khamenei's first of Ramadan? They don't have a first of Ramadan and they don't have a last of Ramadan. They look for the moon where they live, you look for the moon where you live. They themselves have said, this is the rule. Number one, look for the moon yourself. So as the time of Maghrib is approaching, you can look for the moon with your own eyes. That's the first. Second, find two people who you believe to be just people. People who are adil, who you do not know them to be of the liars or of the transgressors. Find two witnesses that can say to you that we have seen the moon. That's the second way you can start your Ramadan. Third one, you can even use astronomy sites, you can use websites, moonsighting.com for example, is the one that I use, and it tells you when the moon is visible in which part of the world. It tells you whether it's visible with the naked eye, it tells you whether it's visible with optical aid, it tells you whether it's visible without optical aid, it tells you whether it's visible in clear conditions or not. So this is your third. The fourth, look at those countries that share a horizon with you. So whichever country shares a night with us, if anybody within that country has seen the moon has been seen for you. If they have seen it, your month has begun. Fourth. Then the fifth one is if all four of these do not make any sense, then turn towards your mujtahid and see what ruling and what fatwas he has given of the month starting and the month ending. Why is it that we don't have this discussion in Muharram, Rajab, Shawwal, Dhul Hajj? No. Only when it comes to the start of Ramadan and the end. God forbid we start one day too early or we fast one day too late. One more fast or one less fast. So this is the ruling. So when Ramadan comes, you either look for the moon yourself, you find two just witnesses who have seen the moon, you look for the horizons, you look at astronomy websites, you look at an organization that has taken it upon themselves to identify the beginning and the ending of the new crescent of the moon. If all these don't make sense and you're not satisfied, then sure, go ahead, ask your Maraja. Marajas differ in the view. Some say, for example, he says that if the moon is visible anywhere in the world, it's Eid everywhere in the world, or the month starts everywhere in the world. We have some, for example, Ayatollah Sistani, who says, no, if the moon is visible only within your horizons, then you can start your month, but if it's visible, for example, in America, you can't do it in England. Ayatollah Hafiz Bashir says, no, if it's visible in America, you can do it in England. Why? Because we all share the same moon. Different types of techniques, different types of ways of looking at it. But this is how the concept of the beginning of the month starts. And when does Ramadan start? It starts when the moon has been visible, either by the naked eye, by optical aid, by the horizons, by the astronomy websites, or by the fatwa of your mujtahid. During the fast, now there's certain things that we need to know. So number one, we all know we can't eat during the fast. And the people in this country find it difficult, but you can't drink water or anything during this month. You know that you cannot consume anything, so even sitting in a steam room, even smoking, even vaping, nowadays, anything that passes your throat, even dust that enters your throat, immersing your head within water. So for example, swimming. Swimming is something that would break your fast if you dip your head all the way underwater, sitting in a steam room, smoking, eating, drinking, among various other things. So these are the basic things that break your fast, so these are the things that you cannot do. Now traveling. Traveling is something that you can open your fast when you travel. How? 28 miles is the radius, approximately. So the way it works is from where your city ends, 28 miles. So, for example, you have to fast in the morning at the time of Fajr. You cannot eat until you have gone 28 miles outside of your radius. So if you live in Manchester and you're coming towards Birmingham, in the morning, or if you leave before Dhuhr, you still have to fast until you get outside of that radius. The moment you get out, your fast opens, you can eat, you can drink, you can vape, you can smoke. If you do. That's the ruling. But if you leave after Dhuhr, then your fast is not open. So if you leave after Dhuhr, it doesn't matter even if you travel 100 miles down the road. If you leave after the Dhuhr Asr time, it doesn't matter about the radius of your city or where you're traveling, you keep your fast. And you open it at the time that you were going to open it anyway. Where you're going, so you're in Manchester, you come to Birmingham. If you stay in Birmingham one night, and you're not home for the Sahri of the next fast, you cannot fast. So I'm here today, I came yesterday, the night's passed, I haven't fasted today. There's no penalty for this, you just have to keep the one that you missed. So there's no kafara, there's no punishment, so to speak, on this issue. There's no sin that you have committed on this issue. So if you do not go back home by the time the next Sahri begins, you cannot fast. If you get home before Sahri ends, you can fast. Or if you stay in that destination for 10 consecutive days without traveling. So if I come from Manchester and I come to Birmingham and I stay here for 10 days and I do not travel outside 28 miles approximately of the radius of the Manchester city or the Birmingham city, I can fast. Pertaining that I stay here for 10 days and I do not travel anywhere for those 10 consecutive days. Same rule applies for the prayer. Some ask about the distance, about the time. Within the Muraja they have said, because this is Furu'id-Din, this is Namaz, Roza, which comes within the Furu'id-Din, they have said the best thing to do is, if you travel to such a distance where your Namaz becomes Qasr, you cannot fast. And if you stay there 10 days, your Namaz is full and your fasts are accepted and you're able to fast. Waking up and having Sahri is not a fundamental part of fasting. You have some people who say, oh, I didn't wake up, so I'm not going to fast. Eating in the morning is not something that you have to do in order to fast. So if you haven't woken up or if you haven't been able to eat in the morning, it doesn't make a difference. You can still fast. If you're healthy and you're not traveling and you're not taking any medication during the day, it is wajib upon you to fast. If you do not fast, even though you do not fall into any of the categories that exempt you from fasting, what's the penalty? Here we go. So for that one fast that you purposely break, or for that one fast that you purposely do not keep, for that one, first you have to keep 60 for that one. So fast for 2 months in a row to keep up for that one. Or feed 60 poor people to their fullest and then keep that one that you missed. So either keep 61 fasts for the one that you miss, or feed 60 poor people to their fullest and then keep the one that you missed. That is the penalty that you have if you do not fast on purpose or if you break it on purpose. And how long do you have? You have till next Ramadan. So you've got 1 year to make sure you either fast these 60 fasts and that one, or you feed 60 people and you keep that one. So you can give food to the poor or you can fast yourself. So this is the rule. Another one is intention. If, for example, nobody's in your house, you're home alone, you're fasting, you've intended to fast, you've started your fast, you've had your Sahri, you've gone to sleep, you've woken up midday, you come downstairs and you think, okay, there's nobody home, I'm going to have something to eat. If you walk towards the fridge and you make the intention of eating, and you approach, but then, for example, for whatever reason, your parents come home, or somebody comes out the bathroom and you didn't realize they were there, or somebody's sitting at the dining table, for example, and you didn't know they were there, and you're unable to eat because of that, you've still broken your fast. Because you've made the intention of breaking it, so the moment you've intended to break it, you've broken it. So keep the 60 and the one, or feed 60 poor people to their fullest, and keep the one. What has Ahlul Bayt said about fasting? There's a very famous story within chapter 76 of the Quran, verses 5 onwards. 5 till about 12 or 5 till about 11. These verses talk about how the Ahlul Bayt were when they were fasting. Now there's some fasts which are compulsory, Ramadan. Some fasts which are mustahab, during Rajab, during Sha'ban. Then there are some fasts where you say, oh Allah, if you do this, I will fast. A nazar, for example. Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain alayhim as-salam were ill. The masters of the youths of paradise were ill one day. So Sayyidah Fatima approached her father and she said that my children are ill. The Prophet suggested, why don't you do a nazar? Why don't you make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that if he was to cure Hassan and Hussain of their sickness, you will fast for 3 days as a thank you. They become obligatory as well, if that action happens. So the way it happened a few days later, both sons, Hassan and Hussain, were better, and they joined their parents, the 4 people of the household, Ali, Fatima and the 2 children, decided to do this fast. The Quran talks about this, and it says in chapter 76, verses 5 onwards, and as to the righteousness, they shall drink a cup mixed with kafur, a fountain where devotees of Allah do not drink, making it flow. They perform their vows. This is what Allah's talking about. This was a vow that the Ahlul Bayt made. made, oh Allah, cure them and we will fast. So they perform their vows and they fear a day whose evil flies far and wide, and they feed for the love of Allah the orphan, the captive and the poor. So what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying here? What happened? So when they decided to fast, the Ahlul Bayt fasted. Throughout the day they didn't eat anything. As it came time for aftari, for fatur, somebody came and knocked on the door as the Ahlul Bayt were about to open their fast. So we have many narrations here, but obviously these narrations differ as to who came to the door, but nonetheless there were people who came to the door. So on the first day, for example, a poor person came to the door and said, "Oh, household of the Prophet, I haven't eaten anything for several days. I'm really hungry, I'm really thirsty. Would it be possible if you could give me some food?" So Amir al-Mu'mineen said to Sayyidah Fatima, "We can give this?" She said, "Of course we can." So the Ahlul Bayt did not eat anything by opening their first fast and gave the food to the poor. The second day they did the same. All day they didn't eat. As it came time for aftari, they sat down, they were about to eat their loaves of bread. Somebody knocked on the door, "I am an orphan, I haven't eaten for several days, could you please give me some food?" Amir al-Mu'mineen said to Sayyidah, "We're going to give it again." She said, "Of course." So they gave the food on the second day as well. So now it's 2 days, 48 hours, these poor people have not eaten anything. But for the love of Allah they are giving. On the third day again, they fast all day. As it comes time for the aftari, they're about to eat. Somebody knocks on the door and says, "I am a slave who was captured, I am now free. Please could you give me something to eat?" Amir al-Mu'mineen said to say that we're going to give it again. She said, "Of course." So they gave the food. They say at that moment Amir al-Mu'mineen went to visit Rasulullah. When Rasulullah saw the face of Amir al-Mu'mineen was very weak, and he noticed that the hunger had gotten to him. Rasulullah then took some food to their house. He noticed his daughter was in the same state, Hassan was in the same state, Hussein was in the same state. So Rasulullah said, "What you have done, Allah has loved. What you have offered in sacrifice for Allah, He has accepted. Jibreel has come to me and he has read these verses which I just narrated before you. That there are those among people who give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the poor, to the needy, to the captive. Only because of the love they have for Allah, here is some food, eat." So this is what the Ahlul Bayt would do. Imam Zain al-Abidin would spend all the nights of Ramadan, for example. All night within sujood. Amir al-Mu'mineen would spend all night within worship. Imam al-Baqir, Imam al-Sadiq, all of our Imams would spend fasting in such a way that they would spend all night in worship and all day fasting. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, "I love the fasts of the summer and the prayers of the winter." Why? Because long nights you can pray more. Summer fasts, longer days, you fast for a longer period. A bit difficult for us. It's very hard to keep 19 or 18 hours that we have now, 18 hours 45 minutes. There are places in the world where they have 22-hour fasts, where they only have 2 hours in between. But nonetheless, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, "I enjoy the fasts of the summer and I enjoy the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the long, lengthy nights of winter." This is how the Ahlul Bayt spoke. 2 or 3 things that I'm going to end with. And then we can see if anybody has any questions. 2 things happened within this month. What time are we supposed to open our fast? Because obviously within Islam, the 1 billion Muslims that there are in the world, there's a difference of opinion within the schools of thought. What time do you open your fast? What time do you close your fast? So let's discuss this. And the second thing is Taraweeh. It's something that's encouraged. It's something that is told to do. Yes, we can do it. I'm not saying that it's something that we can't do. But there's a procedure, there's a law that you have to abide by when doing this. So when it comes to the time of the opening, the Quran says, when you pray, pray in the darkness of the night. Pray as the sun is about to rise and pray as the sun is about to set. The Shias get accused by saying you only read 3 prayers. Allah only mentioned 3 times. He hasn't mentioned 5 times. He said, pray in the night, pray as the sun is about to rise, and pray just as the sun sets. So where's your 5? Yeah, we pray 5. But the times that Allah has given is 3. Verses in the Quran say when it comes time for you to open your fast, you open your fast as the sun is setting and there's a reddish to purple light in the sky. So when other people within Islamic schools of thought open their fast, it's still bright outside. There's no street lights, there's no red, purplish light in the sky. What does that mean? That means you fasted all day and just over 5-10 minutes, you've invalidated your fast. Your fast isn't accepted. Because Allah set the law. He set the law in the Quran, the Prophet has set it in the narrations, and the Imams have set it within their sayings and narrations. So you open your fast at the time of Maghrib. When is Maghrib? As the sun is about to set. When? When there is a reddish purple line in the sky. So when you open your fast, you open it at Maghrib. Those who open it before Maghrib invalidate their fast. They fast all day and they break it in the last 5-10 minutes. And when it comes to Taraweeh, so what is Taraweeh? So now there are verses in the Quran where Allah has mentioned non-compulsory prayers. He's mentioned, for example, to the Prophet that during Ramadan, O Muhammad, out of the night, I want you to spend a portion of that time praying. Night. Not done after Isha, night. This was tahajjud, this was Salatul Layl that the Prophet was talking about, not Taraweeh. But can we pray Taraweeh? Yes, we can. Of course we can. How? There's no rule as there has to be either 8 or 20. You're not confined to these two. You can either pray 1,000 or you can pray 1. That's up to you. Depending on how much love you have for Allah, how much time you have, or how much energy you have during your fasts, you pray Taraweeh as much as you want. The only difference between praying Taraweeh the correct way and praying it the incorrect way is you cannot read it in a Jamaat. You cannot read it in a congregation. Allah has said to the Prophet to tell us that non-compulsory, non-wajib prayers cannot be read in a Jamaat, cannot be read in a congregation. So Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, the 5 compulsory prayers, they can be read in a congregation, they can be read in a Jamaat. But these nawafils, these witrs, these sunnats, that some people love to read so much, you cannot read them in a Jamaat. When did the Jamaat start? In the Prophet's time? No. The Prophet never offered Taraweeh. The Prophet never congregated Taraweeh. The Prophet never told people to read Taraweeh. He never even encouraged people to read it in a Jamaat. So where did they come from? During the time of the first Caliph, who ruled for about 2.5 years, nobody read Taraweeh. Nobody folded their arms in prayer. Nobody looked left or right to end their prayer during these 2.5 years. So where did they come from? A narration within Bukhari, it states that the second Caliph said, one day I walked into the mosque of Rasulullah and I noticed that there was a few people reading their nawafil prayers separately, a few in that corner, a few in that corner, a few in that. So I ordered a person known as Ubay ibn Ka'b, and I said to him, why don't you lead all these people in these nawafil prayers? And he himself says that this was a bid'ah hasana. This was a good innovation. We don't believe in no bid'ah hasana. There's no good innovation. It's either an innovation or it's not an innovation. There's no such thing as a good innovation. So the Prophet, the Quran has said in chapter 5 verse 3, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. This day I have perfected for you your religion, completed my favor upon you, chosen for you Islam as a religion. It's done. Nothing is going to be added to the religion of Islam after Rasulullah leaves. Why? No more revelation is coming. Jibreel is not bringing new verses of the Quran. The Quran has been revealed in its entirety. The laws have been explained. The job of the Imams and the jobs of the Caliphs of the Prophet is to show you how to implement those laws. That's it. Even Imam cannot bring in new laws. So if Taraweeh wasn't read in a congregation at the time of the Prophet, and it wasn't read in a congregation at the time of the first Caliph, the second Caliph himself said, I congregated this, a good bid'ah. So if you want to pray Taraweeh, you pray it. But make sure you pray it individually, not in a congregation. That's the only difference. So the Prophet said, a compulsory prayer is best done in Jama'at, and a nawafil prayer is best done individually and at home. Doesn't even have to be a mosque, at home. So they come 8:20 throughout the whole day, they finish the whole Quran, they read Taraweeh for 30 days straight, and they get no reward. As harsh as that sounds, it's true. It's like saying I'm fasting but I'm still eating, but I'm still fasting. That's exactly the same. If Allah says you can't do something, you cannot do that something and then expect it to be... Nobody can turn around and say, yes, I know, but Allah should think, these people are staying awake, 3-4 hours of their time, they're up, down, Allah should give them something. No. If He said you cannot congregate a non-wajib prayer in a congregation, you can't. You do it, you won't be rewarded. In fact, you'll even be punished for this. So you go to the mosque to get punished in this situation. So to conclude, the Quran has mentioned fasting. The previous nations before our Prophet have spoken, have fasted, bit of a difference in law, or the ethical legal code on there. The Hadith has mentioned fasting, the benefits of fasting, the scientific proofs of fasting, the benefits of fasting. They say, that even scientists say, that fasting can kill cancer cells in your body. Because when you don't eat all day, you're abstaining from food, I'm not a scientist, I haven't researched this fully, but something happens in your body that can kill cancer cells. Put it that way. Not just that, they've also said that fasting is good because when you don't eat all day, you're not consuming all that junk. You're refreshing your digestive system to be able to last the junk that you eat for the rest of the year. These crisps, chocolates, all these things that you consume. So during these days, these 30 days, you're tuning your body to be able to get rid of the damage that you've caused by consuming those things and tune your body to be able to consume them later, not that you have to. That's the benefit scientifically. That's what's mentioned in the Quran. That's what's mentioned in the Hadith. The Prophet has said, fasting with piety to get nearness to Allah, all your sins are forgiven. Reading one verse of the Quran in Ramadan is like reading the whole of the Quran in any other month. Then we have the nights of Qadr within this month as well, and we'll end on the nights of Qadr. It's not one of the nights of Qadr, so we're not going to go into depth, but the night of Qadr, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. What do you know about the night of Qadr? Surely you do not know the night of Qadr. The night of Qadr is that night that is greater than 1,000 months. Allah has revealed the angels to come down on this night to a certain personality who we believe is Imam al-Mahdi, Imam al-Hujjah. He comes down, the angels and the Ruh al-Quds come down on this night with blessings from Allah. They take our good deeds and they then return at the time of Fajr. Laylatul Qadr could either be the 19th of Ramadan, the 21st of Ramadan, the 23rd of Ramadan. Companions asked the Prophet, when is Laylatul Qadr? The Prophet said, sometime in Ramadan. When in Ramadan? Sometime in the last 10 days. When in the last 10 days? Sometime on the 19th, the 21st, or the 23rd. When in? The Prophet said no. Because when you know that this is the night of Qadr, you're going to be extra religious on that night, not the other 364 days. So Allah has left it. I mean, Qadr could even be during Rajab. There's no guarantee that it's during Ramadan. It's just we've been perceived or alluded to the fact that it's the 19th, 21st, or 23rd of Ramadan. And that's the night that Allah descended the Quran upon the Prophet, descended the benevolence of everything that comes down. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the glorious Quran, you get closer to me, I get closer to you. So inshallah, let's hope this Ramadan is a Ramadan that we get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a Ramadan that we follow the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a Ramadan that we read Taraweeh on our own and not in congregation.